All right, guys, this is Peter Scott, and welcome to the fourth module, the fourth call of the Earn 10K coaching program. We've covered a lot of information so far into this program. I mean, we've talked about marketing, we've talked about clarifying your hero's journey, your map, we've talked about your tribe, and now we're getting into the dirt, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say, which is basically rolling up your sleeves and doing the most important work of creating value for the world, which is enrolling clients. This is coaching clients into your coaching programs, into your fitness challenges, and of course, anyone who's working underneath your downline, this is the same thing. This applies specifically for them. Every single conversation you guys get into is a sales conversation. So for those of you that are joining us live, thank you. I'm going to open up at the end of this call some time for Q&A. So if a question comes up, I want you to write that question down. At the end of the training, I'll unmute everyone, allow you to raise your hand, and then obviously dive deeper into your specific goal or the challenge that you're facing. So let's jump right in. What I want to start with, guys, is kind of a 30,000 foot view and a mindset of selling. And the reason I want to start with this is simply because effective selling is truly about 90% mindset and 10% skill sets. I know a lot of us think, gosh, Peter, all I want is the word for word script on what to say on a sales call. And we're going to cover that in this call. Some of you may already have that script and have gone through it. And is that tremendously valuable? Yes. But if you don't have the right mindset around selling, it does not matter how great that sales script is. You'll continue to get people giving objections to you and saying no to any opportunity or invitation you invite them to, whether that's into your challenge or into your downline, okay? And the reason why it's so important is because just from a psychological place, guys, our actions are controlled by our subconscious, or what NLP refers to as our unconscious mind, okay? And there's only a very small sliver of things that we're consciously aware of, okay? You may be consciously aware that you love selling. You may be consciously aware that you don't love selling. But the truth is there's a lot that you may not be fully consciously aware of as it relates to your beliefs around selling. And your beliefs, as you know, control your actions, which controls your results. For the majority of you watching this, you are health and fitness coaches. And so as a result of that, you know that if someone's getting limited results in their body, they are taking limited actions, and that's caused by limiting beliefs. Caused by limiting beliefs. So that's exactly what we're going to dive right into. I'm a believer that if you believe selling is evil, then you've lost the game before it's even begun. And the challenge is society tells us that selling is evil. Our family has told us that selling is bad because we've experienced that manipulative form of selling. And I'm not talking about that selling, but that's the kind that we generalize and we assume that is what sales is. When you go on, if you've ever stepped on foot of a dealership, right? I did this a week ago, actually, at the time of this training. I was looking at getting a new car, and gosh, I just felt so uncomfortable as the dealer or the sales rep, whatever his position is, came up to me and started to talk to me because I was like, I don't want to be sold to. So I want you to write this down. People love to buy things they hate to be sold to. People love to buy things they hate to be sold to. Okay, so there are ways to approach conversations, whether it's enrolling people into your downline, in your Beachbody, your Isagenix business, or enrolling people in your fitness challenges or your coaching programs. And that's what we're going to talk about on this call. Okay, and the key to selling is finding a win-win scenario. The whole win-lose paradigm, guys, is very, it's outdated. It's outdated, to say the least. One of my greatest favorite books that I've ever read, probably my number one, as it relates to mindset of an entrepreneur, is a book called Atlas Shrugged Great book by an author named Ayn Rand, very controversial because there's a philosophy in there that argues politically, it argues religiously, but the value of the book is in the mindset of the entrepreneur, shifting from a consumer mindset to a producer mindset. But that book, which was written in 1957, and the majority of the 20th century, all had to do with if somebody wins, that means someone else loses. And if you believe that, then you're going to resist selling because either you have to win, and that'll show you're forcing a new way of being on somebody else, meaning they're going to lose, or if you don't sell to them, then they win and you lose, and that's not good either. So we're setting up a win-win scenario here. Now, I want to talk specifically as this relates to the work that you guys do and the work that I do. And as usual in our training calls, we're going to start with a myth. I'm going to share with you the truth, and then I'm going to give you some very actionable items and exercises to take you guys through. So myth number one as it relates to selling, guys, is this. I'm supposed to coach prospects during a strategy session. I am supposed to coach prospects during a strategy session. The truth is that coaching prospects before their clients during a strategy session is actually a disservice to them. And I'll share that again. Coaching prospects during a strategy session or coaching prospective beach body coaches before they're actually coaches in your downline or Isagenix reps in your downline, it's a disservice to coach them before they're actually clients of yours. And the reason is I'm going to share a metaphor with you, okay? Coaching somebody during a sales call or coaching somebody during a strategy session is like giving a glass of water to somebody who's trapped in a burning building. Okay, I'll share that again. Imagine somebody's trapped in a burning building, okay? And you want to save them. You want to help them. If you were to show up and give them a glass of water, okay, for them to drink, for them to pour on themselves, whatever it is, it would bring them temporary pleasure. You know, it would remove some of the temporary pain that they're in. But within seconds, it would become useless and they would be stuck and back in the same situation as where they started. Okay? What I find from my own experience and from coaching countless other coaches is that we have this need to create value for somebody on a call when we're on a strategy session, or somebody's in our downline and we want to serve them. And so we immediately go, before they're even hired us, before they've even joined our business, we go into this coaching place because we think, oh, if we create value for them, then they'll become a client. Here's the downside of that. Number one, although you may create temporary value for them, you can't create the full capacity or the full potential of the transformation that this person is wanting, whether it's in their body, in a relationship, or in their business, in one conversation. You can't do it. How do I know this? Because I've tried and I've failed over and over and over and over again. And it's made me feel good. You know, I felt good that I was able to give somebody advice. And the problem with giving advice before their clients and before they paid for it is, again, a principle that I've shared before and I'll share again. Free advice is worth the price you pay, right? They thank me so profusely for that piece of advice. They tell them that's exactly what they wanted to hear. They've got everything they need to know. Now they can go make the changes on their own. But you and I know, because we've either done it ourselves or we've seen other people do it, that 99% of the time, if there's no follow-up, if there's no accountability, if there's no consistent access or association with other people, then those results or those temporary transformation begins to fade away. Okay? So it's actually a disservice to get into coaching on that first call. What your role is to create value for them, number one. Actually, let me rewind. Role number one is build trust and rapport. You've got to do that on your call. Then create value. then expose the gap between where they are and where they want to be. And I'll go into more detail on this during this training. Then give them a call to action. Invite them to take the next steps if you feel that you genuinely can serve this person. Okay? The problem with offering coaching before they're a client is everything that I've already said, plus you typically run out of time. So you rush the sales offer at the end. And then they experience this abrupt shift from coaching, serving to selling. And that contrast makes you uncomfortable as a coach and makes your prospect uncomfortable in taking the next step. Okay? So again, quick reminder, the myth is I'm supposed to coach prospects during a strategy session, and the truth is coaching prospects during a strategy session is literally a disservice to them. Okay? Now, I want to share another mindset shift that is incredibly important. And we've talked a little bit about this. For those of you that haven't yet read Breaking the Time Barrier, I invite you to read that. I know for some of you that are actively watching this right now, Eric, Lynn, Rachel, I think all of you, or at least I know Eric and I believe Lynn has already read that PDF. Rachel, I haven't heard from you, and anyone watching this recording, if you haven't, make sure to download that from the Facebook group or the membership site. And what's so important about that book is it talks about a myth that many service providers have, which includes coaches, and that is that people are hiring you as their coach for the time that you give them. That simply is not true. The truth is that people are hiring you for results. They're not hiring you for the time that you give them each week. If all you're giving them or all you position to them is time, then they are not going to see the value in hiring you. Okay? And the biggest takeaway from that book, Breaking the Time Barrier, is that you're not selling them time, you're selling them your accumulated life experience and knowledge. Okay? One of the reasons why I charge $20,000 a year for my private coaching now is because I've invested over $100,000 in mentors, in masterminds. I have leveled up my skill sets as a coach tremendously. I've improved my mindset to have a better, even more profound impact on my clients. And that allowed me to go from, $500 a month to where I'm at now, which is $20,000 a year. Okay, and you guys can do that too, but it's all about how you position it in the conversation. And we're going to talk about that step by step, line by line during this call. So remember, when somebody, let's look at your Beachbody, your Isagenix business. When somebody needs support in your downline, okay, they're not asking for support for your time. Your job is to clarify the exact result that that person wants, uncover the one thing. There's always one thing that is slowing them down or stopping them from accomplishing that result, and then solving that problem, which would accelerate the achievement of that result. That's your job, okay? And if you have somebody who you want to enroll into your downline, then it's the same thing. During a strategy session or during an enrollment conversation, your job is to get them to sign up, to buy the product, to join your downline, whatever that is. Okay? So before I go into the word for word script that I use, I want to talk to you about the most important preliminary step before you actually get on the call. The secret to successful selling, guys, and write this down, the secret to successful selling is your state. It's your state. It's the way that you feel. It's the energy that is flowing through your body. It's your ability to focus. It's your clarity of thought. It's your peak performance state. Okay? And there are 3 P's to selling that I'm going to share with you right now. And these P's are the framework. Everything that I teach is in a framework, okay? So when you are bringing a client into a coaching program, I challenge you to framework what you're about to teach them. When you're bringing somebody into your downline and you're training them, I challenge you to framework, to outline the steps that it takes. Remember, I had you do this in week 1 during the MAP process. Okay? So, what is the first P? The first P is prepare. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Prepare a peak performance state. Again, guys, write this down so that you've got something tangible after this call. And of course, I'm recording this so you can watch the recording if you need to. So what does that look like when I say prepare? Well, for me, guys, there's a certain couple things that I do every single day to get me into a peak performance state. Now, I'm going to shift the screen of what I'm sharing so that you can actually see what I'm talking about, okay? What I'd like you to do is, if you can see the Excel document, I'm going to share it in just 1 second. If you can see it, then I would like for you to say yes and type yes into the chat box so I know you can see it. Okay, as that shows up for you guys, awesome. I see yeses. Here we go. So there are 4 areas that I get into a peak performance state. And just so you guys know, this is the training that I do with my high-end one-on-one clients, the members of the Fearless Life Academy. Okay, this is the exact sheet that I use, and you can see literally that I do this for myself because this came from week 7 of a 90-day program, which is basically last week. Okay, so 4 areas that I get into a peak performance state. Number 1 is my body, which you guys are experts on as health and fitness coaches. Number 2 is my mindset or my spirituality, pretty much my connection to purpose is what I call it. 3rd is my relationships, and 4th is my business. I've got to be in peak state in all of these, okay? How do I get into a peak state in my body before selling? Number 1, I move my body, I sweat every single day, and I give myself something nutritious. That can be a green smoothie, it can be something from Shakeology, it can be some sort of supplement or nutritious meal that gets me into a high energy, clear thinking state, okay? And I literally track and measure my progress, and I make sure and I make the commitment to doing this not only every day, but every day before I do any work. I don't do this at night. I do this first thing in the morning before everyone else is awake. I do it before I open up my email. I do it before I coach my clients. I get into a peak state because when I'm coaching, when I'm serving, when I'm selling, I've got to be clear and present. And this allows me to do that. So move your body, have a green smoothie every day. Number 2, mindset. I always read something inspiring, whether it's listening to an audiobook on Audible, whether it's listening to a podcast, whether it's reading a book. I'm always consuming content for about 10 minutes first thing in the morning to get me in the right mindset. When I feel that way, yes, things can be falling apart in my life, but I am present, I'm grounded, I am the eye of the storm. Guys, I get it. There are a lot of responsibilities in this life. Even today, I wrote a Facebook post on how stressed I've been. And that stress has nothing to do with my circumstances. It has nothing to do with my responsibilities. It has everything to do with the story that I'm telling myself. So on the days that I think that I don't have enough time, those are the most important days for me to stay committed to these habits, to what I call the Fearless 4. Okay? So read something inspiring or listen to something inspiring. Number 2 is meditate. Before every sales call, before every presentation, before every client meeting or prospect meeting, I slow down. I get quiet. I get introspective, and I meditate. And I may only have 5 minutes to do that, or 2 minutes. My commitment is to do it at least 15 minutes every day, up to 20 minutes. But there are days when I only have those couple minutes. Before I joined this training, before I launched this, I was sitting here, I was closing my eyes, I was focusing on my breath, and I was just getting present. This alone will double your conversion. This one thing, okay? Relationships. I track and measure in my relationships 2 things. One is my family relationships, and 2, my love relationship with my girlfriend. If some of you are married, this would be with your wife or your husband. If some of you have kids, your kids would go in here. If you have close friends or business partners, you've got to make sure that you're investing in your relationships. And the reason, the question you might be asking is, how does this have to do with sales? Well, if you are neglecting your relationships, it's in your unconscious mind. It's in the back of your mind. And when you have that in the back of your mind, you're leaking power, you're leaking presence, and you're completely distracted. So I literally, every single day, send a note of appreciation to a friend or a family member and make Amy, my girlfriend, feel loved and appreciated. I do that, guys, every day, and I track this stuff. And I don't have time to go into the process of the tracking. That's more for my one-on-one clients, but you can see that I'm doing this. And then the fourth thing is business. There are certain things in business, guys, that are just income producing activities. And as a Beachbody coach, as an Isagenix rep, as a health and fitness, business, life coach, you're an entrepreneur at the end of the day. And an entrepreneur has complete freedom and at the same time complete overwhelm if they don't know what they should be doing or don't know how to commit to the most important activities in their day. So I simply clarify that. I know that studying something related to sales and marketing is incredibly important every day. For me, social media, remember last module, if you missed that, go back and watch that training. I told you the step-by-step system I use to market a message on Facebook, to find my clients, to create and communicate content, to capture that permission to convert and compel, etc. I go into detail on that. So here you can see every single day I'm committed to my 3x4 strategy, posting 3 times a day, sending 3 new friend requests, sending 3 new messages. This stuff gets me in a peak performance state, okay? So I wanted to share that with you. Remember this, what gets tracked grows, what gets tracked and measured grows exponentially. Write that down, because you've got to be tracking every single thing that you do, and you've got to be tracking KPIs or key performance indicators in your business. If you look on the screen, you can see sales and marketing. Guys, sales and marketing is the lifeblood of your business. And I get it. You want to coach. Believe me, my most fulfilling and significant moments in my day are when I'm coaching and serving. Right now, as I'm leading this training, I am filled up. And yet, if this was all that I did, I wouldn't get any new clients. I wouldn't be able to pay my bills. So you've got to get into a place of prioritizing marketing and sales. For me, guys, feel free to borrow this system and make it your own. But for me, I track 5 things. Number 1 is leads. Leads are people who opt into my website. If you don't have a website, a lead could be a new person that you met. Somebody that responded to your Facebook message who's interested in a Beachbody opportunity. Those are leads. Track those. Number 2 is sales conversations. I want you guys to get to speak. When you speak, you get paid. Straight up. When you're in conversation, let's say, because if you're a really valuable, powerful coach, you're actually doing less speaking, you're doing more listening. But in general, when it comes to marketing and sales, you're getting your message out there, you're having conversations. I track those conversations. Okay, offers made. I track the amount of offers that I make every single day. Cash collected, the amount of cash I collected and the cash in future contracts. For example, if somebody invests, let's say that I offer $20,000 for a coaching program, or I offer $5,000 down payment and then a monthly payment, I put down $5,000 as cash collected, and then I talk about the cash and future contracts. You can see from last week, I collected $3,344, and I have cash and future contracts of $4,244. Those are my numbers from literally last week, guys. And again, that's about an average week, so easily 6 figures. That's a little bit lower than what I normally do, but I had some other commitments last week. So I'm sharing this with you to remind you the importance of tracking and measuring, and again, getting into a peak performance state. So write down any questions that you have about this. We'll discuss this at the end of the call. Now, let's get into the sales script, the juicy stuff, all right? Really quickly, please let me know by commenting yes on the chat box if you can now see the strategy session sales script. Okay, awesome. Looks like you can. So here's the deal, guys. I'm going to talk to you at a 30,000 foot view, and then I'm going to go question by question. And if you've heard this before, you cannot hear this enough. And I truly believe that. So I want you to remain fully present, because you will benefit from this and you will hear things during this training that you did not hear on a similar or on a previous sales training. Okay. Number 1, agenda. You've always got to know that at the end of the day, whether this person knows you or you're a complete stranger, your job as a coach and as a salesperson is to build trust and build rapport. Okay. Nothing can be sold without trust and rapport. Write that down. So now that you understand that, I'm going to take you through. One of the best ways of building rapport is simply just asking questions, getting to know this person. I always open up with, how did you hear about my coaching? I identify where they came from. Sometimes you guys are going to know exactly where they came from, right? They're going to have messaged you directly. Not even that, they're going to be referred to you. But if they message you directly out of nowhere, ask them, how did they hear about you? Because then they'll tell you, oh, I listened to a podcast that you were on. Or, I don't know, I've just been following your stuff and you're so inspiring. I can't tell you how many times I hear that. Okay. I build that rapport to allow them and tell me how they heard of me. Next, I frame the call. You've got to set the frame, guys. The majority of resistance that comes up for salespeople when they transition from leading the strategy session to offer, when they make that transition, most of the fear, the hesitancy, the doubt, the insecurities that come up happen because they haven't framed the call appropriately. Okay? And as you can see here, a couple of things that I do is, number one, I establish confidentiality. Because you and I know when we're on a call with somebody, whether they're joining a coaching program that we have or they're considering opening up a business, a Beachbody and Isagenix business, we've got to be able to uncover their pain, like the reality of the unpleasant spot that they're in their life at. Okay? And in order to do that, they've got to trust that what they share with you stays with you. Straight up. So I always say, whatever we talk about on this call is 100% confidential on both sides. Whatever we talk about stays here. I do the same thing for my live event, for my Fearless Life Experience event. When people come, a lot of the value of that event is group discussion. So I create a sacred space. And I say, listen, guys, anything that you share here stays here. This is a sacred space of confidentiality. The more you share vulnerably and authentically, the more value you will get from it. So set that frame up front. Number two is I lay out my agenda. My goal on this call is to simply better understand your goals and challenges and what's important to you. It's okay if you're not 100% clear, but all I ask from you is to be open and honest with me. Does that sound fair? Again, just getting micro commitments, guys. You're getting micro yeses. Next is, I want to get your permission now to have that heart-to-heart conversation. This is just stuff that, like use this script, guys. If it's uncomfortable, that's okay. But this is what you've got to do eventually. Let me go back to the 3 Ps as it relates to this script. I told you the first one is prepare a peak performance state. I just shared exactly how to do that. The second one is practice. This script is what I want you guys to practice with each other. You're in a private Facebook group right now, or if you're watching this recording, you're in the Earn 10K coaching community. Message each other and say, hey, let's hop on a call and do a 30-minute mock strategy session. And do this with each other and role play. Because the only way you become better is by practicing your craft. And this is the most important thing that you're doing in your business. It's more important than coaching. It's more important than creating content. Having sales conversations is the lifeblood of your business. Okay? I'm going to take a sip of tea real quick. Okay, so going back into the training, framing the call. This is the most important part. Number 4, framing the call, says this. After our discussion, I will determine if I may be able to help you and if you're a fit for my program. If not, I'll recommend someone in my network to you. But if I can help you, I will invite you to take the next step with me at the end of this call. Sound good? You see what I just did right there? I basically said, I'll know if I can support you at the end of this call. And if I can, I'm going to invite you to hire me. I'm going to invite you to join my downline. I'm going to invite you to take the next step. Now that I've revealed my agenda, I don't feel salesy. And they trust me because they're like, okay, wow, this guy's not hiding anything. Cool. And I give them an option. If I can't help you, no worries. But if I can, I'm going to tell you how I can help you even more and get the results that you want. Okay? Step 3, clarifying the outcomes. I always start on the paradise that they want to be in versus the prison that they're in now. Let me share that again. Outcomes. Always start on the outcomes of where they want to be. Create a new possibility for this person. A couple questions that I ask, as you can see here on the screen. So tell me, why did you have this why did you decide to have this conversation with me today? That's really important. For you that are Beachbody and Isagenix coaches on here, ask that person, just out of curiosity, why are you interested in building a Beachbody course or program? Why are you interested in becoming an Isagenix associate? When you ask that question, they tell you what result they want to get and what is their buying criteria. If you can help illustrate them that you can accelerate the achievement of that one result of why they decided to talk to you, then you can enroll them. And again, guys, I share this with you and I want to preface this. This is assuming that what you are offering is of value. It's assuming that this is of integrity. Okay? I do not want you to be manipulative with this script because people have been that way with conversations like this. And you could be with this. My trust is that if you're on this training and you're learning from me, my values align with yours. And if that's the case, of course, what you offer is valuable and you will be of integrity as you use that. After I ask that, I say, so what are you specifically trying to accomplish? What are you trying to accomplish? What specific results are you committed to creating? Okay? And I talk about that in every area of their life, in their business, in their body, in their mindset, and in their relationships. Okay? And then I ask them, great, ultimately, when you achieve that result, what would that mean to you? Okay? This is just digging deeper. It's learning more the significance or the importance of that result. If you make the assumption that this person says they want to make more money, then you could be thinking, oh, they want to make more money so that they can buy nice things. Okay? Maybe that's because that's why you want to make more money. But the real underlying reason is they want to make more money because they want to make sure that they can retire their parents. Or they want to make sure their kids have a college fund and can get an education, which they didn't. Or they want to volunteer and build a school in Africa. That why, that burning desire is what you want to uncover as it relates to the outcome. Okay? Second is find the wound or clarify the prison that they're in. Okay? I simply ask the question, so how is it like right now? Like, what is it like right now? If you're wanting to be making $10,000 a month in your coaching business, how much are you making right now? And since you establish confidentiality, they are going to be comfortable in sharing that question with you. And the reason this is so important, guys, is again, you are beginning to illustrate and shine a light on the gap. All sales are done in the gap. The sell, whatever it is you're offering, a product, a service, coaching, a business opportunity, is intended to get them from the point that they're at right now, which they don't want to be in, to the place that they want to be in. That gap allows you to expose the distance between those two. And I always ask this question, it's incredibly important. What do you think is slowing you down, distracting you, or stopping you from getting these results? Because I can make the assumptions, I can make all the assumptions of the world based on what has slowed me down, on what has distracted me, on what has stopped me. But if I assume that this person has the same challenges that I have, then I've lost before I've even begun. So I ask them that. What do you think is slowing you down? This is where they tell you, Eric, I'm not totally clear on how to build my Beachbody business, or I just don't feel like I have the time to prioritize my fitness, or I'm just afraid. I can't leave my job that gives me the secure paycheck in order to build this business. You're finding the wound, okay? And step 5, guys, is inducing the pain. Okay, Tony Robbins calls this pouring salt in the wound. And again, I want to remind you, this is not a manipulative thing. It's actually a disservice if you don't do this to people, because if you don't induce the pain, people buy more to avoid pain than they do to experience pleasure. Write that down. People buy more to avoid pain than they do to experience pleasure. Yes, before and after pictures are incredibly valuable when it comes to social media. You get a lot of likes, you get a lot of comments, you get a lot of shares, but it just focuses on the pleasure, the progress. What happens in a conversation with somebody is for them to decide to invest time, energy, and money in themselves, into you, they've got to be so clear on the uncomfortable, terrible pain that they're in and the fact that you can help them out of that pain. Okay? So we induce the pain. We ask questions like, have you tried to solve this problem before in the past? If so, what happened? Of course, most of these people have tried. And now you can start seeing what has stopped them, right? They may go, oh yeah, I tried to get fit, but I just couldn't stay committed. Or I just found that I really missed eating that pizza or that processed food. Whatever it is, you know what is challenging them. Then you go on. How are these challenges, can't speak right now, impacting your business? You always want to monetize what they're losing out on. You want to clarify what they are monetarily losing out on by staying stuck. How much would it cost them? Because I am certain that it'll cost far more if they were to stay stuck than it would for the few $100s to join your downline, to buy your product, to buy your DVDs, your home training courses, to join your coaching. Even if your coaching is $10,000 or $20,000, if you were to really solve their problem, don't you think that they would make far more money as a result by working with you? Of course, you know that, and I know that, but they don't. So you have them tell you that by asking these questions. Okay? And then you continue to pour salt in the wound. You expand the pain. Are your relationships being impacted as well? How? What is the financial impact on these challenges? Beside yourself, who else is being impacted, if anybody? And the most important question is this: if you continue down this path and nothing changes, we don't work together, you don't join my downline, you don't build this business, and things go the way they've been going, paint for me a picture of your life 12 months from now. If things continue going the way they've been, nothing changes, what will your life look like? I guarantee you guys that no one's life will look exactly the same as it is today. It'll be far worse. There is no plateau in life. It's either you are growing or you're dying. There's no stagnation. Change is the only constant, right? And so you need to remind them that if they say no to you, if they pass out of fear, out of insecurities, out of not having enough money, all those objections that basically just mean that they're not committed, then their life is going to get worse. And you want them to realize that. Okay, now that you've induced the pain, and you really need to induce this pain, guys, like imagine that, like if you are afraid to cause this person pain, then you literally are causing them a lifetime of pain by avoiding that out of fear of not being liked, out of fear of making somebody uncomfortable. My job as your coach is not for you to like me. It's not for me to make you comfortable. It's for me to support you in creating change, in creating results. I shot this really strong worded video this morning for my private clients because a few of them were saying that they wanted to stay committed to their fitness and they just weren't doing it. And I said, listen, guys, if you want something bad enough, you'll find a way to do it. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse, period. And I was just like really direct to them. And you've got to hold that same frame with your clients, with your Beachbody downline, your Isagenix downline. Like, these people need tough love. And I call it ruthless love. Everything I share with you, when I get really intense and really direct, this is me expressing love because I'm not going to play it small for you. Okay. Step 6, guys, is releasing the pain. You've got to get somebody outside of that pain, like out of it, in order for them to buy. People don't buy in pain. They buy in excitement and pleasure. Okay. So simple steps I do is I acknowledge them. I say it takes a lot of courage to be this vulnerable. So I appreciate you saying that. And then I share my personal story, or I share a client's story. More powerfully is your clients. If you had somebody that, started working with you because they saw your fitness transformation. And then they had a significant transformation themselves, and then they became a Beachbody coach or an Isagenix associate, and then they started to build a really good business. That's who you can talk about. You can say, listen, if somebody says to you, this is really expensive, I'd love to work with you, it's just I don't have the money right now. Say, I get that. None of my clients have found this to be a cheap way of doing it. It's been expensive and frightening for every single one of them. But let me tell you a story about one. And then you begin to tell the story. I'm going to go into more details of this during the objection handling of this training. Okay. And change your voice. Whether you're on a call or in a Skype call, people hear and feel your voice. Like I like whoever would be around me right now may be wondering, like, why am I yelling? I'm not yelling. I'm just really excited, and I'm expressing to you, and I'm changing my voice through my voice, my tempo, my tonation, all of that in order to make you feel a certain emotion. So you can do that. You can go quiet when you're really empathizing with the pain that they're in. And then you can go really quiet when you're talking about the prison that you once were in, about the challenges you face financially. And then you can begin to speak louder and with more tempo when you start talking about the progress that you made and the growth that's happened, the results that you're experiencing in your life right now. You see that? This all is foundational into enrolling clients. Once you've released the pain, then you bring them to the positive, okay? And you say, listen, okay, now that I understand where you are and where you want to go, let's suppose it's 6 months from now. Or whatever your coaching is. Maybe it's 90 days, maybe it's a year, but let's just say it's 6 months. Let's suppose it's 6 months from now. You and I are working together. What do you need to have achieved to make this investment worthwhile? For those people that are on a fence of building a Beachbody business or an Isagenix business, ask them, what do they need to have achieved for this to be worthwhile? For this to be worth the time, the energy, and the money that they've invested. And they'll tell you. If you authentically believe that you can create that result for them, and you show them that, and they believe in themselves, then you've got a client, straight up. You will be growing level by level in that MLM faster than you could ever imagine. Then I go, how would you feel if that is your reality 6 months from now? Again, these questions, guys, are very specific. A lot of this training has to do with NLP. This script is a collaboration from different mentors that I had. Some of them, Garrett White, Ryan Stewman, Gulliver Giles, Tony Robbins. My gosh, a lot of the NLP in this is from Tony Robbins. Why? Because people hear things differently. If you say, can you see that? Then that connects to visual people, which is the majority of people. But if somebody's auditory, and instead of, and they don't see that, they could hear that. Or if they're kinesthetic, they can feel that. I ask, can you hear that? Can you see that? Can you feel that on the call to see what they are? And then I speak their language. Okay? Really, really important stuff. Again, who else would be impacted? So like, how before you found the wound and then you agitated the wound or you pour salt in the wound? This is bringing it to the positive and then expanding and accelerating that positive benefit from whatever result they're wanting. Step 8, guys, is readiness to act. I say, okay, so if you got these solutions to your problems, are you ready to do something about that right now? Yes. Boom. They're giving you a micro commitment. You didn't tell them to pay. You didn't tell them. You simply said, if you know you can get these solutions to your problems, you're ready to actually do something about that right now? Great. And then I dig deeper. I go, listen, I only work with highly committed people because I've learned that you don't get what you want. You don't get what you think you deserve. You get what you are committed to. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being most committed, how committed are you to doing the work to make these changes? And they'll tell you, I'm a 10. If you have anything less than a 10, a 9, an 8, 7, a 1, whatever it is, then ask them. If not a 10, you just told me that you're ready to do something about this. So why did you tell me you're ready to do something about that if you're not a 10? And they go, oh, well, because I'm afraid it's going to cost a lot of money. Say, okay, cool. So what are you again? A 7? All right. What would have to happen for you to become a 10? You're asking them their buying decision right there. Their buying criteria. Let me rephrase. Okay. Then We're getting to the very end of this training, guys. So this is the most important stuff right here. Anchor to the solution. A lot of people stumble on how to transition to the offer, and it's very simple. You simply acknowledge that you're clear on where they are and what they want. You say, I'm clear on where you are right now and where you want to be. And I know that I can support you in creating those results. Of course, guys, I only say this if you know you can. Would you like to know how I could support you to get the results that you just shared with me? Would you like to know? They're going to say, of course, yes. Boom. Once you got that permission, then you can go into the offer. Now, the offer. It's my favorite part. The offer is offer a result-oriented solution. You're not offering them the weekly, the features of your program. You're not offering them the features of the Beachbody business. You've got pamphlets for that, right? You've got a website for that. They're not buying features. What they're buying is results. So I tell them, listen, our coaching will focus on 5 fundamental objectives that will get you the results you desire. And then I share those 5 objectives. We help you clarify your direction, get clear on your goals, strategize your actions. We'll create a customized plan for you so you'll know what you're going to do every single day. We'll optimize your environment so you're set up for success. Because most people fail not because of their lack of commitment, but because of the lack of support that they have in their home environment. We'll help you master your psychology, your mindset, overcome your fears, your doubts, your limiting beliefs. And finally, we will hold you accountable through weekly coaching. You'll get one-on-one call every single week with me and a group accountability call to just ensure that you're following through on your commitments every other week. In other words, you'll be connected to me every single week, okay? So this is the kind of training, guys, where you talk about the tangible results or benefits that they're going to get. And then I share with them, listen, I work with clients for a minimum of 6 months, okay? And guys, you learning how to have this conversation, for those of you that are watching this that are Beachbody coaches, Isagenix coaches, or any MLM, this is what you need to train your downline on, is having this conversation. Because by you training, number one, you become best at something by teaching what you want to learn. Okay, teach what you want to learn. If you want to learn this, you can read it or you can go teach it and master it. All right, and then imagine if your downline becomes so effective and world-class at selling, you're going to benefit tremendously from that. So it's worth your time to mentor them. All right. I wrap it up with saying I work with clients for a minimum of 6 months because this is a permanent lifestyle change. And then I finally say, listen, if you accomplish all these objectives, would you be getting the results that you want? So I anchor to the solution. I say, if you accomplish all of these objectives, if you got crystal clear, had a plan, took focused, effective action on that plan, set up your environment for success, overcame your fears, doubts, limiting beliefs, and were held accountable, do you think you would be making $10,000 a month? Yes. Do you think you would have lost 30 pounds? Yes. Do you think you would have created your ideal love relationship? Yes, 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 yes. All right, guys? And then you simply talk about logistics. One thing that I did not include in here that you've got to do at this point before you go into the offer or the logistics is asking them if they have any questions. Say, now that I've shared that with you and you see it tremendously valuable, we'll talk about pricing in a second because I know that's a question of yours, but what other questions do you have that I can answer you? Why do you do that then? Because if you don't answer those other questions that they haven't asked you yet, and then you make the offer, but they still have that in the back of their mind, they are going to default to no. You've got to make sure all of their questions are answered before you make the offer, okay? And for those of you that are offering coaching, I position it this way. The investment for the program is $19.97 a month for 6 months. Or if you pay in full for $10,000, you will save $2,000 and you'll get a half VIP day with me as a bonus. This is just an example. This is a pricing model that I used to have, okay? And I used to say it's $10,000 to work with me for 6 months or $2,000 a month. The moment I said $10,000, people who couldn't make that investment didn't hear anything else I said. So a friend of mine recommended shifting that. and saying, okay, instead of starting with a 10, which turns people off, start with a payment and then give them the bonus as if they do and can pay in full, then they get a $2,000 scholarship or a discount. And they get this bonus, a half VIP day, your home study course, whatever it is. Then, guys, you mute the phone and you wait. You wait for them to speak. You just hold space. Okay? And if you feel awkward because of the silence, that's why I mute the phone. Because when I've made offers in the past, and this is so funny, where there's a little bit of awkward silence, there was nothing awkward about the silence except my own scarcity, my own limiting beliefs, my own fears. Because once a couple seconds passed, I started to oversell. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, clearly this isn't for you, so I'll also throw in this. I'll throw in this. I'll throw in this. And that alone devalues me, right? And the second thing is sometimes if I was in a position to discount, then I'd be like, oh, well, okay, well, based on your response or lack thereof, I'll do it for half the price. Like before they even told me that price was an issue, they were actually just thinking about what the decision is that they want to make. So hold space in that silence. And if you have to, mute the phone. Okay? The person who speaks next is the person who is not in control of the conversation. So you've got to let that person speak. And then you simply collect the payment. You can either wire transfer me your investment if it's pay in full, or use a credit card, or you can transfer in PayPal, whatever your payment options are, guys. But remember step 5 of effortless enrollment. Step 1, create and communicate a message. Step 2, capture permission. Step 3, convert and compel. Step 4, close. Step 3, convert and compel. And step 4, close. That's this. And then step 5 is collect payment. Collect, collect, collect. All right, this is your framework. This is a framework for how you do anything. For conversations that you have with your family, with your kids, with your spouse, with a potential suitor. Like you're always enrolling people to view the world in your mindset. You're always, you always are. And so you don't have to go word by word in those conversations, of course. This is very relevant to coaching and to an MLM business. But what you're doing is you're building rapport. You're clarifying the result of where they want to be, the prison that they're in now. You're exposing the gap. And then you're offering the solution based on the results that they want to have. Okay. Now, objections. I want to just talk about those briefly. Most common objections are I don't have the money. Okay. And what I typically do is I always restate it. And I say something like, if you can see on the screen, guys, I'm sharing the objection handling script right now. So I say, I hear you saying that money is a real problem for you. And right there, I acknowledge them. I go, thank you for being so honest. It takes a lot of courage to admit that. So thank you. Because I don't want them to feel, as I'm making an offer, resistant. I don't want them to feel embarrassed. Those are negative emotions that people don't buy in. Okay. And then I reassure them and remind them. I go, being scared to spend a few $1,000s to grow your business or to improve your health is a horrible place to be in. And I know exactly what it's like because I was there not too long ago. Of course, only say this if you truly were. Okay. And I want to reassure you, most of my ideal clients don't have the money to invest in my coaching. Most of my ideal clients don't have the time or the money to build a Beachbody business right now. So let me just remind you of your commitment to create financial freedom, to skyrocket your income, to spend more time with your family, to get in the best shape of your life, to save your relationship, to have more passion and romance in your relationship so that you can benefit, create financial freedom, feel healthy and unstoppable, be the best role model for your children. I remind them of what they said to me. And then I say, I want to realign you with your ongoing struggle of what's the prison that they've been in? Paying bills, poor eating habits, fighting with your partner over the past how long? They tell you all of this. You're reminding them, and then you reframe with a story. Okay? You tell a story. And you say, once upon a time there was a man or a woman. Let's call her Suzanne. And she battled with her weight through yo-yo diets and boring workouts her entire life. Now, she reached a point in her life where she became highly committed to making a permanent lifestyle change so that she could be a better role model for her children. She was presented with an opportunity to get high-level health and fitness coaching that would result in a permanent lifestyle change instead of continuous yo-yo diets and lose weight quick schemes that she battled with for years. Of course, guys, only tell this story if it's true. But if you've been in this game long enough, you have stories like this. It's either you or your clients. Okay? When presented with this opportunity, she seized her destiny, invested in herself, and finally committed to her journey and made a permanent lifestyle change. So on a scale of 1 to 10, being you are going to let the excuse of money stand in your way and continue struggling with your health and fitness, or 10, being you're highly committed to making this permanent lifestyle change to get in the best shape of your life, where do you stand? Now, the question is, do you really want the results that you said you're committed to creating no matter what? Because I know if you had an urgent medical emergency that cost you $5,000, I know you'd find a way to cover that cost, wouldn't you? See the way I asked that? I said, because of course anyone would say yes. So I go, if you knew without a shadow of a doubt that you could get all the results we discussed, would there be any reason you wouldn't do this? And if you had the $5,000 in your wallet right now, would you do it? They're going to say yes, because you're recommitting them to the results and you're taking their objection money off the table. It's gone. So you simply say, awesome. So here's what I'm going to do for you. I talk to a lot of people who don't have the resources to invest in themselves. But when they want it bad enough, they become resourceful and find a way to create the money. Okay? So you introduce a distinction. It doesn't matter how many resources you have, it matters how resourceful you are. And I always share my story, guys. I share that I invested $20,000 in my first mentor the same week I lost my sole source of income. That's a true story. And then I go, so what I'm going to do right now is take your credit and debit card. If they say yes, they want to work with you, of course. Details now. And you can let me know in the next couple of days when you're ready to make your deposit. Sound good? You always want to collect a deposit, okay? And you've got to be willing to ask for the sale. The mindset I want you to guys to have from this day forth is it's either a hell yes or a hell no. It's either a hell yes or a hell no. Okay? The third P of the 3 P's of selling. The first is prepare a peak performance state. The second is practice. I taught you how to practice. The third is perform. Your goal is to get them to a clear yes or a clear no on every call. I want them to either say, yes, I'm in, I'm ready to sign up, or no, I'm not. None of this maybe, none of this let me think about it, none of this let me check my finances. No, it's either yes or no. And I want to challenge you. Your assignment this week is to commit to the 30-day no challenge. I want you to collect as many no's as possible in your business. Go out there and make offers. Go out there and get in conversations. Get doors slammed on you. Get rejected. Get hung up on. I'm not saying be in your face and be manipulative and things like that, but just that mindset of committing to it and making offers. So track the offers that you're making. If you remember, I'm going to change my screen so you can see this. Let's go to my Excel document. One of the things that I track on that Excel document is, under sales and marketing, offers. Okay? Offers made. You can see that. I made $4,000 of offers last week, and I collected $3,350 of offers. It's pretty good. It's pretty good close rate. Other weeks, let's look again here. Week 6. I don't know why that's not filled out. That's odd. Let's go back. Week 5. Here we go. Collected 8,614, etc., guys. So that's what I'm talking about, all right? Make offers. Collect a lot of no's. That's okay. And just get into conversations. You guys have got to do that. So thank you for participating in this sales training. What I'm going to do right now is open up the call to the people that are on this call live. I want you guys to ask your questions that you wrote down during this. And I want to support you directly on this training right now. So let me unmute the lines and I will start with, I think I'm going to start with Eric. If you have any questions, Eric, your line is unmuted right now. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can. Well,
Awesome. All
first,
right.
thank you for being transparent on your peak performance and and how you track your metrics and your KPI. That was pretty cool to see that.
You're
You know,
welcome.
but when you were talking about using the script, you did mention online. I imagine the power of using it on the phone is probably more because you can hear tonality, inflection, right?
Yep.
Have you used it for online?
When you say online, do you mean over um,
Messenger.
Messenger?
Just like
Yes,
face. Yeah, yes.
absolutely. Yeah. So number one is like when you're doing it online, Eric, again, you're building rapport, right? You're kind of asking them. Um, I always start with, if I'm talking to somebody, just out of curiosity, what are you up to and most excited about in your life right now? I always
Mm-hmm.
start with that. That somehow just builds rapport, and I get the highest response rate from that. And then I literally go in like, what's the biggest focus in your business, or what's the biggest focus? Like, what is the biggest, BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal that you're working towards? And they'll
Okay.
tell me. And as I get clear on that, I literally ask these questions. What would your life look like if you accomplished that? How would that impact you financially? All these questions. But then I go, just out of curiosity, you're saying that you want to be making this. Where are you right now? And what do you think is slowing down or stopping you? You can ask these questions over Facebook Messenger. And
Mm-hmm.
if you really have somebody engaged, I want to challenge you, Eric, to getting them on the phone with you.
I can see the power of that. I'm starting to transition from Facebook messaging to phone calls.
Do you have any hesitancy of doing those phone calls or any fear? And it's okay if you do. I'm curious if any of
Oh,
them
I
are
sure
fair.
do, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
It's really easy to hide behind Facebook chat. I did that actually. It's funny when I started to get training on sales, I remember asking the similar question to you is like, I got this great script of exactly what to say to in the conversation, yet I was afraid to have that conversation, right? And so I would just
Mhm.
try to ask the same questions over Facebook chat. Does it work? Yes, but it's not as effective because you and I know that you can't build the level of trust and rapport with somebody over Facebook chat as you could over the phone,
Correct. Yeah, I agree.
or
Yep.
even more powerfully over video. Like oftentimes when I'm enrolling a client, you can see me on the screen right now. I will um, I will have a Skype call and be on video with them so that they can
Mm-hmm.
see me.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's something I know I need to do it. My closing ratio would probably be better
Yep.
as I get more comfortable, right? And but just like anything, it's going to take practice.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
so much more important. Like it's so easy to hide behind the computer because I did this. I'd talk with somebody and then maybe I'd make an offer and I'd say, yeah, go here and sign up or read my website or watch this video and you can get started there. No one ever did, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't until I actually invited them to take that next step in a conversation. So if you've
Okay.
got people like that, I want you to get into the conversation. And even if you crash and burn, you may like you may go through this script, Eric, and like go through everything word by word, but right when you get to the offer, you may freeze up and not make an offer. That's
Correct. Yeah.
okay because you're at
Yep.
least getting on the phone.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, so as a coach, I mean, I noticed you had you had some offers at the end about the 10,000
Yep.
dollar coaching. Um, I might be asking the wrong person. I probably have to ask compliance, but uh, I can't see it being any different than a personal trainer who's a Beachbody coach, right? They
Yep.
charge for their services, right? And they also offer the Beachbody as a solution,
Mhm.
right? So it should be the same way. I could use the same model, charging $10,000, right, to coach them, and offering Beachbody as a solution.
Absolutely, you can. So much so that in my some of my health and fitness coaches, there's been a few Beachbody programs that have been instrumental in my own health and fitness transformation. Two of which,
Mhm.
Insanity with Sean T, and then of
Yep.
course P90X with Tony Horton. Those two programs, like many of my clients, for example, Eric, are busy entrepreneurs. They're traveling all over the world, and their number one excuse is, I don't have enough time. And I go,
Mm-hmm.
cool, you don't have enough time to join a gym. That's fine. You don't need to join a gym. You need to
Okay.
literally get online and get your Beachbody membership and go through this program in your hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's,
Okay.
and literally they're paying me that amount of money. And the reason is because I not only focus on their health and fitness, right? You've got to expand the benefit that you're delivering them. If you can help them get clear on their business, like you don't have to have a lot of business training to do it, but you help them create rituals, prioritize their big areas. Their health and fitness improves tenfold as a result of that. And
Mm-hmm.
not just focus on, here's what to do, here's how to do this exercise, right? That's why personal trainers, I mean, my God, my heart goes out to personal trainers, but they're in a archaic model that will keep them in poverty because they're
Yes.
trading time for money.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. Um, and then the other thing I noticed is instead of offering features, you talked about benefits,
Yes.
right? So as a Beachbody coach, I say, um, well, I usually do identify the pain, offering a solution, right? But then I get to the point of, we offer challenge packs,
Yep.
right? And a lot of times I get, well, I love the program, but I'm not so sure about the Shakeology, right?
Yep.
And the frame that I'm taking is I've seen in the past what happens if they don't get the total solution, right?
Yes.
They don't stick to it. They're highly likely not to stick to it, right?
Yep.
So I guess what I'm asking is, how do I frame it so I don't get that objection of,
Yeah, great question. So what I'm hearing you say is they're willing to join the challenge,
yes,
and that challenge, and I'm just curious with which challenge you're at in your Beachbody business, you're offering that for free.
the challenge is free except they have to buy a challenge pack, which
That's right.
is a fitness program bundled with the Beachbody On Demand and the Shakeology.
Okay. So number one is you could roll into that additional support. Okay. So they buy
Okay.
that product, which helps you in your Beachbody business. You can also
Yes.
offering accountability coaching, which would allow you to say, okay, coaching and working with me is $1,000 a month. Okay. You can
Okay.
get $1,000 a month clients, and that
Okay.
includes those things that they buy. You see how you can bundle that package?
Oh, okay.
And think about this. Start with the most expensive and then downsell.
Ah, okay.
Really, really important sales tactic. So for those of you still on this call, Lynn, for anyone watching this recording, always make the biggest offer first and then
Hmm.
downsell. If you go to a Nordstrom to buy a suit, they're going to show you a $2,000 suit and you're going to fall in love with it. And then you're going to be like, well, I love it, but there's just no way I can pay for it. Then they're going to show you a $700 suit. And the contrast between the $2,000 suit makes the $700 suit look affordable. Even when your goal was to spend $200 on a suit and you find yourself
Hmm.
spending three times as much.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, me
Okay.
too. Me too. I mean, just being on a auto dealership last week, I saw them show me the highest, luxury car that I fell in love with, and then downsell me to the other one. Like I get it. A great book that you guys can read, and I'm a big believer in mastering psychology because everything, Tony Robbins says, psychology is 90% of it, skill sets and strategies about 10% of it. I believe that.
Mhm.
One of the best
Okay.
books I've ever read is a book called Influence, The
Hmm.
Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. And what I'll do is I'll look it up. I'll put it in the Facebook group so don't feel like you need to memorize that right now. But Beachbody in particular is one of the, if not the best, like home fitness program companies in history. They have
Yes.
figured out in their sales copy, in their testimonial videos, in their video trailers for the programs, in their processes between
Hmm.
bundling to cross selling to upselling to downselling. Their system is the most robust and most effective when it comes to infusing psychology in the process of selling, and you can do
Hmm.
that too.
Okay. Yeah, so now that you've mentioned about the $1,000 a
Yep.
month, I've never I've never offered that to anybody, right? So of course, starting to offer that, what if they say, well, who did you charge $1,000 to? Or what I'm saying, if they call you out on it and
Yeah, yeah,
say,
yeah.
yeah,
So let me share. So where I started, I didn't start at 1,000. I started at 500 bucks a month. Um,
okay.
but is that a good, like, would that feel good to you? If you were to get a couple clients at 500 bucks a month, would that be a great
Oh yeah,
result? Okay,
$500, yes. $1,000 that gets me a little, yeah.
cool. So I want you to start where you are. That was a great
Okay.
lesson. I remember being in a mastermind with these people that were literally charging like 30, 50, $75,000 a year. And I
Hmm.
remember trying to do that. It was so funny because I was so out of congruency. I was incongruent. Like I didn't believe in myself to make an
Yes.
offer like that. But I did, thinking that I was associating with them. And my mentor was like, Peter, these guys have 25 years of experience. You have two. Like, get your offer down to where you are so that you can
Yeah.
get some clients and then create massive results for them. So start 500, Eric, start there.
Yep.
And um, again, when you talk about the benefits, if somebody was to save their life, if they were to become the best role model they could be for their kids, if they were to
Hmm.
skyrocket their energy, their focus, their clarity of thought, their confidence, so that they took more effective action and made more money,
Hmm.
wouldn't that be worth $500 a month?
Oh,
Easily.
definitely.
So, like,
Yes.
you almost have to convince yourself first. And then by doing that, if they were to ask you, who have you done this for before? When I had my first clients, I had you have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
my first client was $500 a month. He had
Hmm.
met me at a workshop and he
Hmm.
saw me, and he was a guy he was about 320 pounds. He was addicted to painkillers, really, really tough shape. His name was Steve.
Hmm.
And I just really created value for him, and he wanted to spend more time with me and kind of create the lifestyle that I had. And I just shared with him that I could help him do that. Like, could he do that on his own? Absolutely. And I say that. I always say, listen, you can do this and achieve these results on your own,
Yes.
or you can invest in yourself and collapse time. You can get done in 3 months that would take you normally 3 years to do.
Hmm.
And just say that.
Yeah, you're right.
And
You're
if you were
right.
to
Yeah.
start there, you start congruently and just have that conversation. Be willing for people to reject it, to laugh in your face. Like, I've had that and it hurts the
Okay.
ego, but my gosh, I'm so grateful that I do, because if I hadn't gone through that, then there's no way I would be charging what I'm charging now.
Yes.
And
Okay.
here's another reality. People, hey, sorry, that's my dog.
That's good.
Um, when people pay more, they are more committed, straight up, right? If
Yes.
there's skin in the game, then they're going to take action to ensure that they get results on that investment. If it's easy for them or you're offering it to them for free, they're not going to take that action.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Um, okay. So $500 I can do, but let's say okay, they say no, I don't want to do the $500, and you talk about downselling it,
Yep.
right? What is the difference between the $500 and then just the challenge pack and the accountability group, which it's the challenge group. What I'm offering is a challenge group where people have bought their challenge pack, they're committed to doing the 30-day challenge, right?
Yep.
Whatever it is, and going through that together with me personally coaching them,
Great
right?
question. So, but are you personally coaching them? So, are you actually doing weekly calls with them, one
Oh,
on one?
yeah, I make it. Yes, I do. I do Facebook Messenger. Sometimes I do call and talk to them. It all depends on their comfort of how they want to interact with me. But I make myself available. I check in with them daily.
Okay. And you'll just ping them and ask them daily?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's far more valuable if you were to say that they get a designated 60-minute call with you every single week or twice a
Okay.
week, whatever that, maybe it's twice a week. Maybe that's the level of accountability that you're wanting to offer. Because if you're
Okay.
able to do that, then it justifies the investment you're asking, right?
Got
And
it.
then if they
Okay.
go,
So,
my God, Eric, I'd love that. I just can't do 500 bucks. We'll say, hey, let's figure, here's what I can do. We can customize a program where you get to be a part of the package. Now, it doesn't include my one-on-one mentoring. It doesn't include my one-on-one coaching and 2 hours a week, but it does include this Beachbody package. It does include the group. It does include the accountability, and you have on-demand access to me. So, and then you show the contrast between the cost of that and that plus Shakeology. Like I would have 3 different packages. I would have your one-on-one package, your big premium package, which would be $500 a month, and then your package with the products, with the supplements, and then your package of just the challenge.
Okay. Yeah, see, I can usually get people to get a fitness program. It's when I try to couple it with Shakeology, and I know with Isogenics they probably get the same thing. Oh, I got a protein powder, that kind of thing, and
exactly.
we sell them, So I hope Lynn is seeing value in this as well. I don't want to dominate.
Well, no, she's a Beachbody coach, so this adds tremendous value to her. I know.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. So, she just said yes, loving it. Awesome. So, and guys, for the 2 of you still on this, let me just kind of remind you, I want you to continue to, in addition to having these conversations and positioning it this way and selling, growing your brand, sharing that message, getting new followers on social media. Because the reason why I'm able to do any MLM right now, if I'm wanting to, is because of my following, right? I can go to my following and I can start taking pictures of me drinking a protein shake or having a green smoothie. Whenever I do that, so many people are like, what is that? What's in it? What do you put in it? Boom. I've got people that are wanting to consume what I'm taking myself.
Okay. Well, one thing I wanted to say is that I want to posture myself because I know if they don't get the challenge pack, their chances of success, it is like goes down by 50%, if not more. They're likely not going to make it through it, right? So I really want to posture myself that it's a challenge pack or the $500 package or nothing, right? Or they can come back to me when they have the money, right? That's how I want to posture myself.
Okay. Well, that's exactly the way you got to position it. Now, there are times on a case-by-case basis where you may customize it, right? But your stance is knowing what is best for them and holding them to their greatness. And if they're a no to that, then now's not the time for you to work with them. A lot of people that'll say, wow, Peter, you're charging $20,000 a year. That's a lot of money. I go, yeah, it is a lot of money for the wrong person, but it's just the right amount of money for the right person. And
Can you say that again?
Yes, it is a lot of money. It is a lot of money for the wrong person.
Okay.
But it's just the right amount of money for the right person.
I got it, because it gets them to where they need to go.
Yeah, for sure. So $25,000 for a mastermind, let's say for the 3 of us on this call, can be expensive. But for somebody who's earning 7 figures, right, who's making $1 million or $10 million a year in their business, $25,000 is nothing.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep, very true.
Let me open up. I'm going to open up the call, Eric, to Lynn. I want to make sure if she has any questions. Any other follow-up questions, man? Just post it in the Earn 10K coaching group, because that way I want to answer it so that everyone can see my response. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. All right, Lynn, we're bringing you on right now. Can you hear me? Hey, Lynn,
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you. Awesome.
Eric, thank you. Your questions are awesome. That was super helpful. But my biggest thing that I'm struggling, I think, with right now is the steps that you just outlined tonight are super helpful, because what I'm getting a lot of is people that I already have rapport with, like friends and people that I maybe talk to on a regular basis, seeing my posts online, seeing my Snapchats, and then asking me questions about, like, what are you doing? Have you ever tried this? What should I be eating? And I'm giving them the information, and then when I try to get them into becoming a client, they're going, oh no, I'm good right now. I'll just take what you just told me, and I'll check back with you later. And I've lost them.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I can relate to this. I'm so glad you're asking this, Lynn. So this is very timely, because how I shared with you, coaching them before their clients and offering them that is actually a disservice, right? Because what you're doing is you're giving them that glass of water when they're trapped in a burning building.
Right.
They think that that's what they needed to hear. But you and I both know, Like the people that are wanting to transform their body. They don't feel good, they don't look good, that sort of thing. You and I know, and Eric, all of us on this call, and anyone watching the recording, we know that they're not lacking information. So by
Mm-hmm.
us saying you should eat this or you should move your body this way, that's not going to help them.
Mm-hmm.
What they're lacking is accountability. What they're lacking is commitment. What they're lacking is transforming the way they view themselves and their identity, transforming their environment. And so you could say something along the lines of, listen, thanks for reaching out. Appreciate the acknowledgement of my own growth or my own transformation. I can tell you what I take. I can tell you what program I do, but I know through conversation after conversation that it's not going to produce lasting results for you. You may think it will, but I've learned over and over again that it won't. And I also realize that you're a friend of mine. So because of that, there's a natural, oh, I should be getting things for free, right? Whenever I look at resistance that I feel of a friend, of not making an offer to a friend, basically it means that I'm victimizing them. Like I'm assuming that because they're a friend, that they don't have the money or the commitment to invest in themselves, which is just not true. Okay. I know that the greatest benefit and the greatest value I could create for them is to say, listen, I'd love to work with you. I know I can produce results because you're a friend. Instead of it being, $1,000 a month, it's $750, whatever that is. You offer a friends and family discount, but you still make an offer to get them committed, and you tell them why. If you really are committed to transforming your health and fitness, then my clients invest this amount. Because you're a friend, I want you to make this investment so I know that you're committed. And when you make this investment, you take action. Like you will take an action because you will take the action because you have skin in the game. Could you say that, or have you been saying that?
Yeah, well, I think where I'm failing myself right away is I'm just giving them information. So instead of asking more questions, like you just said, like, oh, thank you so much for, that's so flattering,
Yep.
what's going on with you? Or I'm not asking those questions. I'm
Yeah. So
usually just saying, this is
yeah.
what I'm doing.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
so important. So like one thing that I did recently was somebody reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, how much do you charge for accountability coaching?" Um, I posted this somewhere. I didn't post it in the group. I meant to. I took a screenshot of it. Somebody messaged me, Lynn, and said, "Hey, Peter, how much do you charge for accountability coach?" And I go, um, this guy's name was Jonathan. I go, "Thanks for reaching out, Jonathan. Appreciate the interest. Just to clarify, um, I am not an accountability coach. If that's what you're looking for, then you and I wouldn't be a fit." Um, and then I talk about what I do, in terms of clarifying vision, creating a plan, holding them account, all of these things. And
mhm.
I go, rather than me telling you the price of what it would be like to work with me, I need to first understand what you're struggling with. I need to understand your challenges. I need to get clear on your goals to see if we're even a fit to work together.
Mhm.
So if you're really interested in working with me, then I want you to go here to fill out an application so that I understand where you're at and what you're struggling with, and then let's schedule a call and we'll explore if I can support you.
Awesome.
So that's a great, great, great way you can position that. And
Great.
think that, don't be rude about it. Be empathetic, be understanding, be loving, and let them know that, ask them more and more about, oh, I saw you reached out just out of curiosity. What are the results you're wanting to create in your body? What are the challenges you're facing? Like you can literally take the questions from this script, Lynn, and just do it
Hmm.
over Facebook chat and then get them into a conversation. Say, yeah, I absolutely know that, I have knowledge that can help you, but I also know that knowledge is not the one thing that you're lacking. There could be a couple other things. So let's hop on the phone and see if I can support you. And really be
Yes.
clear about that agenda. Because if you're clear about that agenda up front, that you're going to clarify the challenges that they're facing, the goals that they want. If you're going to support them, you're going to invite them to take the next steps. There's no more resistance on your end to actually make an offer, and there's no resistance on their end to actually receive the offer. And if they say, you know what, Lynn, thanks, but I'm good, I don't need that, that's okay. They're not ready to invest in themselves with you.
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, what I've been doing, and I see it, I know I'm doing it now, is
Yeah.
I'm going backwards. Like I said, I'm answering their question and then asking for, why, what were you looking for? And they're like, oh, that's all I wanted to know was how much it was,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
I'm
I,
like, oh,
I get so many messages of people that are like, "Hey, can I pick your brain about marketing, or can I pick your
right,
brain
yeah.
about coaching?" And I'm like just that metaphor of picking somebody's brain, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's not, it's like this is my livelihood. This is how I create value in the world and how I fund my lifestyle. So if you want to really have a powerful conversation about what we could create together, I'm open to having that. And if I can serve you, I'll invite you to take the next steps. Um, if we're not a fit, that's totally fine. You'll benefit tremendously from the call. But if you are, then we can create some epic results together.
Yeah.
A book that I'd love for both of you guys to read, and I'll post this, is a book called um, The Prosperous Coach by Rich Litvin. He's a friend of mine, and he wrote it with Steve Chandler, who's another world class coach, very famous coach who wrote like 37 books. And I've got the PDF of it, so I'll post it to the Facebook group. But I'd love for you guys to start reading that book as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions, Lynn?
No, that's really it right now. Like I said, Eric's questions answered a lot of things that were going on in my head too, so that was helpful.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you too for dialing in. Thank you for asking the questions. Of course, this week, obviously type any questions or share any resources in the Facebook group. And of course, for the people that are watching the recording, do that in the membership site. And just thank you for being a part of this call. I'm going to mute everybody right now and sign off. Again, we're going to be approaching the next module, which is module 5, at the usual time next week. So thank you guys for dialing in, and I will see you soon. This is Peter Scott reminding you to be here, act now, and fear less.